Good morning and welcome back to Planner Craft. I'm Natalie and today we're going to be doing a bit of a fireworks card. So what you're going to need today is some glow in the dark tape or some reflective tape, if I can get my words out. So you want something that's going to either be able to reflect light or store light in the case of glow in the dark, so that we can have some nice effects for this project. You're also going to need a black card blank, so that can be any size that you want to work with, but you do want it so that it is black. So before I go too far, let's do some hellos. So hi Deb, hi Carol, and hopefully the stream will manage to hold itself today. Yesterday was not good. Not good at all. It decided to be 10 minutes before we were due to go live that it was going to go, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to do it today. So, you may also have seen a scheduled post this morning, and I've had to edit that because the stream that should have been this afternoon, the mini album stream, has moved to the 15th of November at 1 PM. So that's the mini album stream, the part 2, on the 15th of November at 1 PM. So hopefully you can all hear me okay. And morning Thea. Yeah, it really wasn't happy yesterday. I was in the middle of a blog post as well, so it lost some of my work, which was I was a little bit annoyed about, just a little. And morning Cre8. So I'm just waiting for Tracy to join us and then we'll get started. So I've done a design in Canvas just using the basic shapes that you can find in there. So there's nothing that I'm doing today that you can't manage to draw, believe it or not. And then it's just literally a case of bringing in the shapes and then using flip and rotate to be able to create the design. So let's get started. So first of all, I have these tapes and we're going to be using those for the inside of our card. So for now, I'm going to stack those to one side and then we can break open into those in a minute. What you are going to need is a nice colourful masking tape that is going to contrast well with your card blank. So I've got a small selection here. I'm just going to pull out probably just the white, to be honest, on this one. If you're using something else like a pastel colour, then you can go for a darker tape. But for this project, you're definitely going to want to work in black. So let's just peel off our blue sealing tape. And come on, Tracy. So Tracy was extra upset yesterday that we couldn't stream because it was actually her birthday. So when she comes on, there we go. Birthday girl, well, belated birthday girl, has arrived. So we all wish Tracy a very happy but belated birthday, thanks to the internet yesterday. Okay, so with your tape, what you want to do is you want to work out where you're going to set up your card design for. So I'm working with a 14 by just over 4.5 inch adaptable. So there's lots of different ways that we can work with this particular blank. We can fold it in half, we can do it into 3 so that we end up with a zigzag, or you can do gatefold as well. So knowing that my design is quite square, I think what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go zigzag. So my cutting mat is going to fall over just because. Let's pop that back up. So with your scoreboard, you're going to want to split it into 3. Now this is going to be fun. So if it was 12 inches, it would be 4. But because we're going to go up a little bit, it's going to be slightly over. I'm just going to go at 4.5 for now, and I'll trim up the excess. Okay, then we can go at 9. So those first 2 panels are the right size, and then we can trim up our back panel in a minute. Morning, Dale. Ah, doggy birthdays are the best. Oh, and there's Bella's on Halloween. Hi, Mum. So, we're doing a fireworks card today. So, I've divided my card into 3, so I'm going to have a zigzag. And because I've got this little trailing edge here, you can choose to trim that off if you want. But we're going to want to then put your card back flat, and we're going to use our masking tape to mark our fold. Now the reason we do that is because it's a dark cardstock, there's no way that you are going to be able to see that score line on your machine when you do your background scan. So it's kind of a really easy way of showing you where that is. So then we can pop that onto our mat. So for those of you that missed the announcement at the beginning, I did put up a scheduled post earlier saying that I was going live again this afternoon. That has been changed to the 15th of November. Okay. So, let's get my cutting mat. Give it a quick lightning roller. And then we can pop the card on top. Okay, just get those bits off there. And let's put this onto our mat. Now, because I'm going to be working onto this panel here, I'm going to move it so that I'm 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the side. It just means that when we do our background scan, we know exactly where the edge of our card is, rather than it missing that thin strip that is the non-active area. So then we can load that into our machine. Okay, so moving to the machine. Come on. Nope, iPad's not opening today. The buttons are there, but no one's home. Okay, so moving to the machine. I've sent my design from Canvas over the internet. So I'm going to use the Wi-Fi button. And as you can see, it's nice and big. But we only need it to be tiny. So what I wanted to say is a little bit about shrinking designs. So if you've got something like this where it's really big and bold and clear when it's big, then you can shrink it down. If there were lots of intricate pieces, then what I would say is don't shrink. So because it's something that is clear even when it's on this little screen here, we know that we can shrink it down and it's not going to lose too much information. We're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Select All, so that everything is surrounded by a red box. We're going to go OK, Object Edit, and we're going to group it. So we group so that we can change the size of everything at once. Meanwhile, it keeps the proportions. Sorry to hear that, Cre8. And then we can go to resize and we can size this down. Whee! There it goes. Okay, so this is probably a little bit smaller than I need it, but that's okay. So we can go OK, OK, OK again. Now we can do our background scan. And there you can see where our masking tape has done a lovely job of highlighting which section of our card blank is the front. So now we can take that group and we can move it where we need to. So let's pop that in the middle. Now if you want to know if that is exactly in the middle, what you can do is we can go to Add, Pattern, Basic Shape, and we're going to pop in a square. Okay, and I'm going to just add that to my mat as it is. I'm going to bring that towards roughly the middle of my card. Now at this point the square is sitting on top of that firework. So I'm going to go Edit, Object Edit, Resize. Now when we're resizing, it's going to go from the centre out. So I'm going to take it so it's roughly the same size as our card front, but we can see that we've got a strip just here where our card front isn't quite square. So if we use our ratio button, it's going to turn blue. Good morning, Rachel. And we're going to increase our width. So again, that's going to go from the centre out. So go about halfway, then readjust that square over. So it should be pretty much over the top of our card front. We're going to go OK, OK, and if you're not certain it's in quite the right place, you can use your move, zoom, and then we can use our little arrows here to nudge, or we can zoom in a bit more if you want to be really accurate. Okay, so you can see that needs to go over that way quite a bit, and up that way. Now if we use these buttons here, what that does is navigate you around the mat. So we can take that down. So you can start to see how that's fitting. And we can see straight away, because this is going edge to edge, our two crosses, which you should just be able to see, don't actually line up. So that's saying that that firework design isn't quite in the centre. Okay, and our square's a little bit off, so I'm going to go OK. Going to nudge that down very slightly just because I'm going to alter that height. So go back to Object Edit, Resize, and I'm going to push that height up just a little. And that should be enough. So now we can go back to multi-select and select all, so that we've got our group selected as well. Then we can go OK, move, and up in the top corner here we have what looks like two boxes in a line. And that is your alignment tool. So if we go in there, we can go centre and centre. So that's going to bring that firework into the middle, and we know it's now in the centre of our card. So that's a really important skill to learn, is just using shapes to help you form guides on your machine to help you with alignment. So we can go OK, OK, and just tap off, and your red box should show just round the outside. At that point we can go, we don't need that, and delete it. Now if at this point you wanted to put extra groups in, you could do around the outside so that you've got a bit of detailing, but on this particular card it would actually work out really tiny. So I think just for the design's sake, I don't want to go too small so that you can see the colour showing through. If you're working with another design, so for example if you're doing a snowflake, when we get that far and we start doing Christmas bits, then you might decide that you could do that and get away with it. It all depends on how complicated your snowflake is. So let's go OK, OK, and we're going to cut this out. Now for blade, I'm going to go to the vinyl blade, just because we've got a few little points that I just want to get a little bit neater. Now one of the advantages of cutting into rather than cutting out of is that if it snags the points of those teardrop shapes, it's not going to matter, because you're going to get rid of the teardrop but you're keeping the card. So it tends to be, when you're working on something like this where you're cutting into, you're looking at sort of external corners in terms of your pressure. So we can get away with far more with this design. So with that in there, I'm going to change my pressure setting. So I'm going to put my pressure up to -6. Okay, and we can go start. Overhead, if anything. Let's drop that down a little. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. Bye, Cre8. So the design was made up from circles, the rounded star, a teardrop, and then there's another shape that is kind of like a teardrop but not quite. So it has straight triangular sides, but then it has a rounded bottom. So while that's busy cutting away, have you got any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to carefully peel this up and just check it's cut all the way through. And that's looking promising. So I'm keeping one hand on the card just to make sure that everything pops out. There's a couple of little teardrops, but I think those are just pop out by hand. Now if you wanted to, with designs like this, you can actually back them with self-adhesive tape, and then you could use the design that's left on your mat with some transfer paper and stick that to another project. Always not. So I'm just going to get my metal palette knife and let's get underneath there and get all our bits of waste out. I'm just going to do this nice and gently because we don't want to ping them into the machine if we can help it. Now, for our next step, you have a choice. If you are doing this with just a normal card blank, so in other words one fold, then you are going to want to add a white insert, which I can show you how to do in a bit. If you are doing it on a zigzag like I'm doing, then what you might want to do is actually apply your tape directly to the next bit of the card blank. So let's show you what I mean. If this folds this way, and let's take the masking tape off now, we don't need it. Just do take a little bit of care when you're removing your tape. You always want to remove at an angle. There we go. So, with our card at the moment, we've got this panel here that you can see through to this section here. So we can actually apply some of our tape directly to this section. What I will do is when we get to this section, I'll show you how you can also do the same on an insert, so that if you are just working with one fold, you can see where you're going. So let's grab our tape. I'm just going to get a knife to get in this a little bit easier. Or scissors, or the other. So the tape I'm using is the Cre8 tape. I did pop up a link on Monday. This looks like it's going to be fun to get into. Oh dear. It's one of those, I need better nails. It's like cling wrapped. Okay, there we go. Let's get next bit off. Come on. Now I'm concentrating on using oranges and yellows for this project, and this tape is nice and shiny. So what I would say is when you are creating this project, make sure you do so well in advance so you can charge up your tape well. I'm just going to cut my pieces slightly longer. Now you have lots of options of how you want to do this. You can go and do stripes across. If you want to go a bit more funky, you can go and do angles and weaving. And then because we've got this lovely intricate design over the top, you're going to get lots of different sections. Oh, it would help if you could see what I was doing. There you go. Let's pop you back up there. There we go. So let's see if we've adjusted that a little bit too high now. Oh, there we go. Try that. Nope. Now you're going off a bit wobbly. There. Stay. There we go. So, you're going to peel off the backing for your tape. And for this first piece, I'm just going to go straight down this edge here. Now, you may think, well, my design doesn't come that far over. Because if you look at this, there's quite a big gap before it gets this firework. But when it's open, on like a unit or something like that, because of the angles, you will still be able to see it through. So we want to make sure that we burnish the tape down well, and it is almost exactly like working with vinyl. So it's not ultra thick tape. And let's just grab a knife, just because it's easier to trim. So I'm just going to trim that off. There we go. And another bit this side. Okay. So, rotate that back. Now if you wanted to, you could also do the same on the opposite side so that you're building up a pattern. I think for this one I'm going to go a little bit different. So I have got some reflective tapes as well that I want to use. So let's bring some of that in next, I think. I'm going to go for some of the yellow. I knew this won't go open that easy. Let's chuck that in there. So this is literally, let's see if I can get that to show. You've got the hexagonal patterning. New. That's a bit easier to get into. Now what I would say is, just because you do get a little bit of sticky residue, I'm just going to trim off that first little section. Okay. There we go. I'm going to give myself a bit of a leading edge for that backing. So we can take our reflective tape and we can go over the top if you want to create some stripes, or I'm actually just going to go at an angle. So if you're going to go at an angle, I'm going to actually extend past the edge of my card, and let's go this way. So you'll notice I'm not going to do a particular pattern. I'm just going to freehand it, and let's take this over here. So again, I'm going to go past the edge of my card, and we can trim this up after. So this reflective tape is a bit thicker, so it feels more like cutting probably acetate or something like that. It's quite stiff. Something to bear in mind when we get to doing papers that we've made up with different colours of tape is that if you're working with things of different thicknesses, it can become a bit more interesting when you're trying to set up your scan and cut to cut with. So I tend to try and say just stick to one thickness. So I'm going to keep going. So this is the paler orange. And let's see if I can get this off here without too much cutting. There we go. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so let's go and do a few other little sections. So I'm just going to cut that there. And the idea is that we want to build up as much colour as we can. So that our firework has lots of colour and light that's being reflected or emitted, depending on which tape it is that you're looking at. And let's go for another piece. I was about to say, it's quite easy to get the backings off, but yeah. Oh dear. That's just nutty. Okay. So this one I'm going to go, let's take this across. So you can see it's quite forgiving. Just want to join it up to that one, there we go. So as we're starting to look through, you're going to see that different bits of colour are going to go through different sections. Okay, so you also get in the range a sort of plain glow in the dark tape. And use some of that towards the centre. So what you want to try and do is build up more colour to the outside, or deeper colours to the outside, and then your brighter colours are going to go towards the inside. Come on. So each roll has like a covering of cling film, so it's just the getting that off that's a little bit tricky. But once you get it off, you'll be fine. Come on. You do not want to come off this one. Come on. Jeez, I think they stuck this one on with super glue. Okay, we're getting this ready. Okay. Sticking to me rather than going in the bin. So let's just get rid of this section here as well. Put a bit of tape on this one. I need to, I'll get it off later. Okay, so working towards the centre again. Get the backing off. Come on. Do-do-do, there we go. And this time I think what I'm actually going to do is just trim up the centre line a bit. Now because I've got this cut edge, if I put that to the outside I can use something else over that edge, just to neaten it up. And let's put this way. Okay, so we're getting our light section that's towards the middle-ish. And I might just do one little tiny strip. Just to kind of mirror that. Come on. And I'm going to pop that piece there. Okay, let's keep going. And let's bring out some of the sort of red-orange reflective tape. Get that. There we go, it's coming. Okay, so now I want to go and do a few pieces around the outside. So let's do one up in this top corner. Now with the backing paper with this one, it's like a thin plastic, but you have to go careful that you don't go underneath the adhesive itself. So there we go. And I'm going to pop one down there, and let's get the other one. Oh, I must be statically charged today. And I'm going to go along this edge just here. And let's grab a little bit more, because I want to start infilling these other sections as well. Go sort of there-ish. Actually, let's take it along this edge here, like so. And we're going for a really fragmented approach, and that's so that we can have this look that it is an explosion of colour. It's not going to be all nice and neat and precise, because otherwise it just wouldn't look realistic. Gone very quiet out there. Can't get over how much cling film there is on these. Oh dear. Come on. So again, this is a stronger one, so we're going to go back to the outside with this one, and we can do smaller pieces again. And the good news is we can layer up as much as we need to. So if you go, right, okay, I want something that is actually going to cut and tidy that edge up there, that's okay. We can go straight over that edge like so. Then we might go, actually, let's grab another bit of our yellow and take that across there. And I'm going to use that to tidy up our cut edge there. And let's go for a bit of orange. So we're going to carry on building up that colour. Now, if you're working on a normal card, then you would do all this step on your insert rather than in the back of your card. I'm glad you're awake, Tracy. I haven't sent you off to sleep yet. So, just to tidy up that edge there. So hopefully you can start to see where I'm heading with this now. And I'm going to go a bit more of our pale orange, I think. Yeah, go that way. Do-do-do. The other thing to say is where you've got these bits that are overhanging, just keep trying to lift your work so you don't weld it to your desk. Because it is like vinyl and it won't mind just going, okay, I'm staying put. So again, I'm just going to trim this one down the middle, just so I can bring in little sections of that darker colour. So darker colours go to the outside, lighter colours to the inside. And let's use that in there. I'm going to go for another one. So it's going to go, yeah, let's take it that way. Maybe a little bit further over. Just want to make sure that where you do your corners, they do go all the way off the edge. I'm going to go to the darker orangey red, and let's go down to this bottom edge in here. Now if you wanted to, you could build all of this up onto something like sticker paper or the backing from your vinyl, and then lift it all off using transfer tape onto your card blank if you don't feel confident enough going straight to your card. Okay, and with that I think I'm going to do a little bit more of that one. There. can also cut shapes as well, so don't think, oh, it's tape, I've got to keep it in straight lines. So for instance, I'm going to just come in here and let's do a zigzag. Now all those little bits that you don't use, you can set to the side and use those if you want to, or you can just discard them as waste. Okay. Now for getting the backing off. Okay. And I'm going to use that along this edge here. Like so. And if you do something in one place, what I would say is try and do it in another place as well, otherwise it can just look a bit odd. So I'm just going to cut another set of triangles. Like so. Could you use vinyl for the same effect? Yeah, it's identical. So it's literally like glow in the dark vinyl. What I would say is compared to something like the Silhouette glow in the dark sticker material, that is thicker. Okay, just because it has to go through the printer. But yeah, it is just like working with vinyl. So likewise, if you have a spare backing sheet from your vinyl, if you wanted to create like a sheet of this tape, so literally doing strip upon strip upon strip, then you can cut that the same way in your scan and cut. So I'm just pop this along this bottom edge. I haven't quite got it square on there, but that's okay. As I said, it's quite forgiving, so that's always good. Let's pop that along there. And let's use a little bit more of this yellow tape. I'm just going to go and edge that in there, like so. There we go. So the reflective tape backing's a bit like your red liner tape. I'm going to put that in there. And we're nearly there, so it's just these last couple of bits that we just need to tidy up. So I'm going to grab some of the pink. I'm going to cut this down the middle. Now because I've got this cut edge, what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to put this up slightly over the edge so that I can keep a nice neat finish. Presuming that I can get this backing paper off. Oh dear. The other one might have the static cling of red liner tape, but this one's a little bit harder to get the backing tape off. So you're going to put cut edge to the top and slightly overlap. Now if it helps, move your work. So I'm just going to line that up there. Take that over the top, and then when we do our cut through, that's all going to line up. I'm going to take a little bit of that orange just to tidy up that edge there, I think. Yeah, let's go along that way. Doo-doo-doo. And you can cut into shapes with this one too, so don't think that's something that you can only do with the glow in the dark tape. It's just a little bit fiddlier to get the backing paper off easily if you do that. Okay, so let's line this up here. Gonna go that way, like so. Then we just need one last strip to go in there. So I'm thinking I'm going to go back to my pale orange, I think. So I just want that to fit in there. Maybe come back just a little. So I'm just going to pop underneath and try and work out roughly where I want to cut this. So I'm going to cut that down like so. I'm going to try it again, offer it up, decide where I want to put it, and I think I'm going to put that all the way up there. But if we do, we just need to just snip off that corner, just so it fits nice and neatly in there. Okay, so colour wise it's a bit hard to describe because I don't think they come across on camera as they do in real life, so to speak. So this one that I'm applying at the moment is like a sort of neon pale orange. This one is more like a neon red to bordering on a deeper orange. Sort of neon orange that is, rather than a normal orange. Then you've got the neon pink, which is this one, which is darker than that one. Then you have the orange reflective that on screen looks more like it's dark red, but is actually supposed to be more of a sort of deep orange. And then you've got fluorescent yellow, obviously, in that one. And oh, one colour I haven't used yet. So we have a deeper yellow in the reflective, which is that one. Find the end. There we go. So again, I'm just going to snip the end off that one, just because of adhesive transfer. Like that. And we can use some of that as well to kind of bridge the gaps in our colours. So let's pop that on there. I mean, if I had to say what colour this is, I would say this one's more like a reflective gold. So it's going to be an interesting one to use for Christmas cards when we get to doing things like your baubles and things, because obviously as it's reflective tape, it's actually quite sticky. Come on. There we go. And it actually has a couple patterns of reflection to it. It's really interesting tape. So the one you can see on screen really clearly is like the hexagon, but then there's like a sort of square pattern to it. So let's see if I can get it to show it. And you can just about see it has like a square block pattern to it, bit like almost like police tape. Yes, all of these were in the box that I showed the other day. So there are lots in there. And I have put a link up on both the Facebook page and on Instagram so that you can reach out to them and all your goodies. So I'm just pop that in there. Let's try and just get that a little bit better positioned. There we go. And I'm just going to pick up one last square just to fill it in. So you can do this much neater than I'm doing. Well, certainly not necessarily neater, but you get the idea. There we go. Let's pop that in there. Then when you've done all your pieces, you can flip it over and we can trim down our side pieces. So I'm just going to grab a knife and do that. Might just need a little extra help just to go through the reflective tape. But we'll see how we go. There we go. And let's not. Then I'm going to go and rotate that round. Do. I want to get as much to that edge as you can. Then when you're done, make sure you do run a bone folder around the edge just to make sure that everything is adhered down fully, and just where you've had to lift up that tape to cut it. Okay. So now we have our little firework. So when that's open, you're going to start by storing up that light that is actually going to sort of absorb into your glow-in-the-dark tape, but it's also going to reflect any light that it picks up on that reflective tape too. So I did say I would say about how to do an insert. So let's say you've got a card blank. There's just a normal card blank. I'm going to move these tapes out of the way temporarily, just so I've got a clear desk. There we go. So what you want to do is grab yourself a bit of paper, and if you're doing something a bit fancier, you can go for some translucent, like so. Now, bear in mind that we've got a bit of excess over here, so just to help me spacing wise, I'm going to grab my white pencil, wherever it's gone. That will do. And I'm just going to make a little notch down there, just so I know roughly where I'm heading. Okay. So, what I usually do is I try and work so that my insert is in the middle. So if you've got something like this where you've got a funny size card and your paper doesn't quite reach, then try and put it in the centre this way, and then with the amount that you offset it on these sides, get that into the centre. I'm also going to do that at the top and at the bottom. So I'm just going to do a rough little notch there, one there, one there. Okay. So then we can move to our trimmer. And we can line that up. Now you might not be able to see this terribly clearly. There we go. Just get all those lined up. Go with it. Now, normally what I would say with an insert is if you're going sort of literally just inside the edge of your card, then you would do this so that it matches the leading edge of your card. But because we've got like a big offset with this one, I'm just going to fold it in half. Now, insert papers you want to look to be around sort of 100 GSM, so they're easily folded by finger anyway. So you don't have to get your scoreboard out. Now, when it comes to sticking these in, you always want to put your tape to the inside front of your card rather than the back. And you're going to pop it down following that spine. Now, obviously, with something like this, you're going to find that you're not going to want to tape that whole of that run. So, make your life a little easier. You're going to take your double-sided, whichever one you want to use. I'm going to use red liner because it's to hand, but it's a little bit overkill. And we are going to run that down the scored edge. Okay. Give it a good press down. So adhesive there, down towards the front of your card, line it up in the middle, try and stay to the left hand edge of your fold, and then you can do that like that. Now, because we've got translucent paper, and this is another good one to show you. There are going to be times when your adhesive is going to be visible. So what I would do at this point, go, right, okay, what's the main colour of my card? So let's say orange. And we can actually use a decorative tape over the top. But if you haven't got tape, what you can do is you can use ribbon that you can then carry on round to the front of your card if you want to and tie in a nice bow. But I'm just going to go little bit of tape over that edge. Like so. And I'm just going to use my knife just to finish that off. So you want to be fairly gentle because obviously you don't want to cut your card, but you do want to cut the tape. And there we go. Ta-da! So then we have our insert. So now it's up to you if you want to trim this leading edge here, which I think for me, it just needs to just pop back out that way. So I've already marked with pencil because doing the insert. So I'm just going to go slightly inside that line. There we go. And we have our little zigzag card with our little insert. Now, when it comes to actually doing your verse, if you want to, you can stamp it in there, and then you can decide whether you want to attach that back panel or not. But the reason that we do our adhesive on this edge every time is that when we open our card, that front panel of our insert is always going to open. So, hope you've had fun and yep, so you can still stick the back if you want to, so that you've got your sort of insert is stuck down there, but so long as you also stick that front one. Now the other thing to bear in mind if you are doing that is if you've got something that's just a little bit springy, just allow for that sort of kind of stretch so that you aren't having too much of an issue. But then you can see now where I say it doesn't matter if you don't get that inside perfect, because you are using it just to get little bits of colour popping through those apertures on the front. And if you wanted to, you could even do like a little bit of foam tape just to pop that front section up, and then you can tidy up that back section that way. So hopefully you've enjoyed that, and it's giving you a different way of looking at how we can work with our card blanks and our scan and cut by actually cutting into them. And tomorrow, I was thinking it'd be really good to show you a bit of a mosaic technique. So that's where we can start to use offcuts. We can use our tapes and actually build our own papers to actually use in our cards. So get yourself some washi or some coloured masking tapes, glitter tapes, metallic tapes, and we will see you tomorrow for that. And I'll say bye for now. As I said, this afternoon's broadcast has been delayed to the 15th, and Carol, I will sort out the drawing course as well. Just where things went a bit wrong yesterday, just a bit. And you're welcome, Chantal. So we are here most days at 11 until about 12. So that's 11 UK time. So I'll say bye for now. Any questions, drop them in the group. So that's Scan and Cut Paper Craft Courses, Classes and Workshops by Planner Craft. And I also pop up quite a few different links and things in there too. So it's a good resource to go and have a look at. Take care for now, and I'll see you tomorrow.